This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, Bo Cook from Loan Market, BTZD, the official apparel partner of the Paracave Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and this is the replay chat of my talk that I have with the Duckman on Pulse FM, 89.9 FM, the heartbeat of the Hawkesbury, every Friday and Sunday. So during this chat we talk about the Rugby League Pacific Championships that were happening across the weekend. We also talk about the Tsyzu fight that I watched on Sunday. So we have a little bit of a chat about that one. And we also talk a little bit about the Cricket World Cup and just getting back to the Rugby League, a little bit about where an expansion team could end up in the NRL, because there is talk of an 18th team. So we have a few opinions about where that one might be. So this is the replay chat. You can catch me live on a Friday and a Sunday, 89.9 FM, just after 7 o'clock. And now it's over to you, Duckman.
All right, welcome back to the Weekend Sports Wrap. So you're with the Duckman, Scott Lewis on with us tonight, and got special guest Troy Warner from the Paracave Podcast on. So I seem to be delirious tonight. I'm all over the place to talk about Rugby League World Cup that's not on. There's all sorts of things going on. Richard was talking about some giant guy that was clobbering some other guy in the boxing, so I'm all over it now. Troy, how are you going tonight?
Going fantastic, Duckman. Hello, Lewis. And lots of sport going on off this weekend, and watched a little bit of everything over the weekend.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, well, we got Lewis here, so I don't know who Lewis supports in the NRL. Who do you like in the NRL?
Well, this is going to be controversial, but I've been a diehard Broncos fan since I was 5.
Yeah, there you go. So
there you go.
We got someone here. So Troy's a massive Parramatta fan, obviously by calling his podcast the Paracave Podcast, but it's good, got some variety which we need and some balance. So might have to get rid of the whole pitchforks thing when State of Origin comes on, Troy, and not be building hate mobs to wander through the whole. All right, so you watched the fight. How was the fight? Did you watch many of them, or just the Tsyzu one?
No, I caught the last end of the second last fight. I watched all of the Sam Goodman fight, which he won, and then obviously watched all of the Tsyzu fight. So, look, it was great to see his last fight in Australia on the Gold Coast. Apparently, he wants to go over to Vegas now, and that's where the real big fights are and the big money is. And he called out Charlo at the end of the fight to come and get him, and he wants him.
Yeah, so I reckon that's the way to go. So Charlo is between the two of them, they're holding 2 world titles each, I think. So across the big 4 divisions, which they want to get. Well, not divisions, but the big 4 different championships, because boxing's got about 25 different associations and that stuff. WBA, WBO, IBF, everything. So
IBC.
WBC.
I think Tim's got the WBO championship wrapped up, and I think Charlo's got the other three. So he wants to, and Tim said today, let's see who the king of the division is.
Yeah, so I like that. Throwing down the heat. He's definitely got it in him. So it's win number 24 and 18 knockouts. So Richard told me it was a brutal fight. So and Tsyzu was very good. he's lucky that he's got, so he did get the win and it did dominate it. So Richard says like 127 to 122 or something like that. But ultimately, when it comes out in boxing like this, what you need to do effectively, probably got to be trying to knock the other guy out, because you're not going to win world titles in America if you're not putting the guy on his backside. You're going to have big problems. So if it goes the distance, you want to be winning them fights by knockout.
Well, your back's always on the wall when you go to Las Vegas. You've got the crowd, you've got the rest. If you don't get that knockout, you don't get that win.
Yeah, so and they say it all the time. So Dana White says it in the UFC as well. Says don't leave a fight in the hand of the judges, because it could go anyway. They're looking at different. They're all looking at different stuff. So, how do you think he's going to go against Charlo? Have you seen Charlo fight at all, Troy?
No, not usually. I'm not a massive boxing fan, although I do get behind the Aussies when they do fight. And look, the way that Tim fought today, he looked so calm and just it didn't look like he did much. And Brian Mendoza was doing more, trying to do more. And it all started, I guess, in the sort of 5th round. Tim got a couple of good punches on him, and then the 7th round again, and I think it was the 11th round where it looked like Tim was going to knock him out. But look, credit to Brian Mendoza for lasting the distance, and as Tim said, I think another little bit of a jibe at Charlo. He's the second best behind Tim, so in that division. So yeah, look, it'll certainly be an interesting fight, that's for sure.
I like that stuff, but just keep on lighting that fire. So he's trying to bait Charlo. I actually think Charlo is going to try to dodge the fight and try to have another fight in between now and when he does. He will fight Tsyzu, but I can't see it happening this year. I think it's going to be an early next year thing, like in between March, April, around Easter, just before or just after. So Charlo will be, if he's holding all 3 belts, the 3 main ones, he's going to be in no rush to be doing anything in a hurry. So you can't rush the guy that's number 1.
There was also news coming out over the weekend too that Peter V'landys has also been chatting to the Tsyzu camp about possibly having a fight over in Las Vegas when the NRL's over there in March. So sort of make it a super Aussie weekend, I guess. So have a super fight when the NRL's over there as well.
Well, that would be worth some money. So the pay TV element in Australia would be massive. Would you be buying subscription for that, Lewis?
I definitely will. That'd be a great halftime show too.
Yeah, well, 100%. So I reckon, say if I had it at Windsor Leagues Club, I've seen plenty of fights where people walk outside afterwards with about 15 VBs in them, and they think they're going for world title fights. So they don't all stack up so good. A couple of people over there can get on it a little bit. But that would be an extraordinary thing. And I guarantee you there'll be forces at work now if Peter V'landys come out and said that. I didn't know he said that. I did hear he was coming up with some random stuff, but I think they'll try to work that in with other stuff now. So if that fight does happen, that'll be... And Charlo's camp will try to hose that down so that does not happen. 100%.
I don't want to give him any advantage that he can get.
Yeah, you won't be wanting to try to give anything away there. So you're going to be buying a subscription for that one, Troy?
I'd probably just go back down to Panthers Leagues Club and watch that one, I guess. I've already got the Foxtel subscription, so the NRL's covered. But, that would his next fight would definitely be massive to watch. And I've seen him live once at Combank Stadium. I forget who it was against, but that fight didn't last that long. But... I'd certainly be watching the one in Las Vegas, and look, it'd be massive. I mean, I think boxing and NRL and pay TV, they'd be mad not to try and set something up like that, because you'll have both sides of the the world watching what's going on. So it'd be absolutely massive. It'd be probably one of Australia's most watched boxing matches. I think Danny Green and Anthony Mundine hold that record at the moment, but I think Tsyzu would get that record.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, I'll be hitting up Glenn Jennings. So I've interviewed Glenn Jennings before when Shannon O'Connell had a world title fight against Ebony Bridges. So pretty keen to chat to Glenn Jennings again, who was Costa Zoo's manager and is Tim and Nikita Zoo's manager as well. So if you're listening, Glenn, pretty sure you're not because you're up on the Gold Coast. We'll see if my reach and network of people, I've got people listening in China too, apparently. We'll see if we can get through to Glenn Jennings. Glenn, I'm going to hit you up. We'll see if we can get a call with, be great if we can have a chat to Tim Tsyzu. Even if it means I've got to get on a plane, I'll come and see you guys. I can tell you that. It would be a massive honour to have a chat to the world champion and potential all-coming champion of everybody, the undisputed champion.
Well, if you need someone to cover the NRL as well, I'll come with you.
Yeah, 100%. Not sure if Catherine's listening now, station manager, or editor Julie out at Hawkesbury Independent. But if you just want to tee something up, I can go over and write some articles while I'm there as well. So let's make it work. So they call it Duckman 2024 Las Vegas trip. So let's get that going on. All right, so let's kick on to some other things. So cricket, have you been watching the Cricket World Cup, Troy?
Oh, look, a little bit of it, and I've obviously been catching up with all the highlights on the news and that, but look, Australia's struggling, aren't they? They've got a big game against Sri Lanka tomorrow. It's a must-win game, even though like this World Cup seems to be going on forever. Like, I think there's like 9 games or something before the finals, so... But, look, Pat Cummins, I think, came out today and said, look, we're not going to make mass changes to the side. We've just dug in at training and tried to step it up, and sounds like they're on the road to getting a victory tomorrow night against Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping for. So trying to find, let's have a look if we can get what they think the Australian side. Could you name the Australian? Like, I don't think I could name the whole Australian cricket team at the moment. So I have got the list in front of me. I'll see who I recognise. So they're predicting you're going to have Warner, Labuschagne, Steve Smith, Travis Head, Cameron Green, Glenn Maxwell, Stoinis, Mitchell Marsh, Sean Abbott. So Sean Abbott is New South Wales bowler. Very good bowler too. He's out injured last game. Alex Carey got dropped last game. Not particularly sure why. Josh Inglis is pretty good, so he got a crack. Adam Zampa's the only spinner. So Richard was blowing up on Friday night about Nathan Lyon not being there. So
get him over there.
Well, I don't know what he's not there for. So he's commentating Sheffield Shield games or something like that. Pure Milk Cup or whatever they're calling it over here at the moment. So should be in that squad. Josh Hazelwood as well, Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins. There would be people who wouldn't be able to name that Australian team. If I didn't look at the list, I couldn't say off the top of my head who was in the Australian team at the moment. And the team's changed. The T20 side, that's different again. So can you resonate with the Australian team? Are we playing too much cricket in general?
Well, you'd probably say yes. I guess you would be, because whenever they're not playing for Australia, they're some of them are chasing the T20 dollars and trying to earn a living that way as well. But look, there's always a lot of cricket being played every year. I think they only get about a month, maybe 2 months off a year. Obviously, when it's not summer in Australia, they go overseas and play. So, look, this is a crucial World Cup, I think. I mean, they always have pride in performing at World Cups, and they're pretty successful at winning them. But just at the moment, they haven't got their mojo, and they're struggling.
I think Australia's got a bit of an older team too, to be honest with you. A lot of those guys, even Sean Abbott will be one of the younger guys, and he's like punching like, I went and saw him when he was 20, and I reckon that was 10 years ago. He's 19 or 20, and let's actually have a look. Let's bring it up again, so have a look for sure. I was surprised by the age of the Australians. They're just getting older and older, and the only problem with that is who's the next guys coming through. So Sean Abbott, let's have a look here for sure. 92, so the guy's is 31 years old, so that's just all getting on. So let's have a look. Who do you reckon the next youngest guy would be? Pat Cummins, he'd be about 28 or something, I suppose.
You probably have to say Labuschagne. I think he'd be probably one of the youngest.
Yeah, Pat's 30 there. Mitchell Marsh is about 47, so he's been around forever. So he's 32, but he's been playing for years and years and years. Steve was talking about when he played against him in the past. So let's go through.
Well, we know this will be David Warner's last World Cup, because I think he's come out and said this year is his last year.
Marnus Labuschagne. So this is the concern I got with Australia. We'll go through the whole team here. David Warner, so born 86, so he's about 49, so then it's 37, so for him, nearly 37. So Marnus Labuschagne is 29.
Okay.
This is not... so some of these guys will be around for a little while longer. Steve Smith, what's he's in, is like nearly 30 as well. If I can find it, there we go. We'll get it down. Crick info is useless these days. Just go straight off the thing. Steve Smith, born 89. So what's that make him? 34. So they're just getting on. Cameron Green might be the youngest guy here.
We just
possibly. You're right there.
Yeah, 24. So he's good. So he's probably the best guy we've got floating around at the moment. Stoinis is good. We've got some good guys. The guys are just getting older. And there's a lot of cricket. I love cricket, but people are talking in cricket circles. Do you think that one-day cricket, is this World Cup, is this going to be the last one? Is it still relevant with as much T20 as there is and the money in T20? It's hard to argue against, because T20, it will get the bite of the Americans. It will get the bite of the Chinese and that as well, because they get quicker results, and that's what they want, stuff that's going to start and finish quickly. Yeah, that's the big thing. It's similar to baseball, so they can punch baseball games in and out in under 3 hours. So they don't want it. They don't like you can play 5 days of cricket like in the Test match and have a draw at the end of that with no result. Like, they don't understand how you do that with 35 hours of cricket.
Yeah, I think it will be. It could be one of the last, that's for sure. Anyway, but I mean, the interesting thing is they're thinking of I think it's been accepted into the Olympics for 28. I think so.
What's a T20 cricket, or we're talking about?
Yeah, it'd have to be a shortened version, that's for sure. So if that is the T20 into the Olympics, well, then you'd have to think that 50 over cricket might slowly dissolve, and people won't start watching that.
Yeah, so I know people in the local Hawkesbury district cricket area that are playing first grade, second grade, and a whole range of different things all the way down from full grade for Hawkesbury Hawks right through to just normal whacking it around with blokes like us. And they're telling me the problem is that the really super talented guys in local club cricket, they're the really fast bowlers, they're not there anymore. The really outstanding batters, they're not there anymore. So they're not all necessarily moving up. And they said that the age of the guys is getting older. So it's guys in first grade now, I got told the average pace of the fast bowlers now is about 110, 120. So there were guys when I was like 18, 19 coming through, they were whipping 130, 140, like doing stuff like what international players are playing. It's all changed now. T20's tailored the game to get results, and you play for massive hits and everything. It's completely changed it. I'm not sure that's good for cricket long term.
True.
Yeah.
Maybe this spells the end for cricket.
Yeah. So there we go. So let's look back at the rugby league. So the Pacific Championships are on at the moment. So we could talk about cricket all week, and people are going to be waiting out the front with stakes and pitchforks ready to burn me and Lewis, because they'll be upset about it. So I just don't like seeing cricket in a state that it's in at the moment. But so the Rugby League Championships, so Australia beat Samoa there, 38 points to 12. Did you watch the game, and what did you make of it?
Yeah, look, it was a great game. I think Australia, they went off to a massive start in the first half, 28 points to 6, and then sort of tailed it off a bit in the second half. Payne Haas and Big Tino, Fasil Malawi scored a try. The big front rowers, Cameron Murray scored a try. I think he scored 5 tries in his last 5 tests. So he equals Steve Menzies and Ron Coote as well, who have done that feat. So massive there. But Hamaso Tabuai Fido, he scored one of the tries of the it's only been going this weekend, but tournament, an 80-metre job off a short Australian dropout. So Samoa were going to receive the dropout, but Australia went short. And we've seen, especially this year, I guess you could call it, well, it's been around for a couple of years, but more and more of these short dropouts. And one was last night, and Harry Grant got the ball and passed it to the Hammer, and he ran 80 metres. It was a great try on debut as well. And look, the Samoans, they just got blown away at the start and just couldn't come back. One no try to them was from their fullback, Sua Fa'alongo, and he's only, I think, 20 years old down at the Melbourne Storm. He's only played 40 minutes of first grade rugby league, and he's already played one test. And unfortunately,
that's pretty good.
It is definitely so, a massive star on the rise. And unfortunately, though, he didn't get the try last night. They ruled that it was a knock on in the previous, or back in the play. So I would have just given him the try anyway. The score was blown out. Just give him the try anyway. It wouldn't have made any difference. But look, a good win for the Australians, and thankfully for Ruben Cotter, who had his wedding today. He didn't cop any black eyes or anything, so he's looking good for his wedding that was today.
Absolutely mad. I wouldn't have been, but, well, saying that, I did play on the day of my brother's wedding, and I can tell you his wife, or ex-wife now, she ripped me a new one about playing for Penrith on the day against Warringah, and that was one of the best games I played. I put some guy into hospital, busted some other dude up with a shoulder charge. He was probably a bit late and off the ball and coming in from ruck sideways, but referee didn't see it. The camera did, but it went all funny at the time, which was just a pure miracle. Or I was looking at maybe a suspension. We lost, but we had the closest loss we had all year, so it was a good day out. So I thought it was anyway.
What time was the game, and what time was the wedding?
The game was at 12 o'clock and the wedding was at 3 o'clock, so I was cutting a little bit fine.
I nearly did the same thing for my wedding.
So, it was funny stuff. Lewis said he did the same for his wedding. So he's a big rugby guy too. Women get upset about that sort of stuff, so they just don't understand that football isn't everything, it's the only thing. So I don't really mean that. So, but if my wife's listening now, I'll be getting stared daggers when I get home later. So,
well, the lucky thing for Ruben was the fact that the game on last night was up in Townsville and his wedding was in Townsville, so he didn't have to jump on a plane straight away and get back up to Townsville. So it was pretty convenient. So the rest of the Australian side were invited and had a great day.
Yeah. Do you reckon anyone went cheap on the presents and didn't sling in any money or anything into the wishing well or buy him any decent presents?
Oh, who knows? Who knows? There probably would be a few.
I reckon there'd be a few tight guys in that Australian team. Some of them guys, like, you probably have a better chance of like robbing a bank than getting money off them. So it's not criticising anyone in particular. I just know some of them guys, when I've chatted to them, like, good luck getting money off them, like, have to try to pry it out of their dead, lifeless body or something to get it. But we'll keep on kicking on here. So as the Daily Telegraph today talked about a couple of potential transfers, and we're talking about it the other night. One of them is Jarome Luai, so I'm going to throw that out again. I reckon he's about 90% certain now. I think he's going to leave Penrith. So the fact he's definitely fishing around for a better opportunity. So...
is there a better opportunity for him, though? Penrith played so much better in the grand final the minute Luai was off the field.
Yeah, so I threw one out to Troy a little while ago. So I heard some news off people I know who work for News Limited and stuff. The story goes, they reckon Jarome Luai, everyone gets tied in with the Roosters. I actually think legitimately the Roosters might be looking at trying to pick him up because they think they've got a bit of gap in the halves. Losing Suaalii to rugby is going to free up some money. So until last week, they were going to lose Angus Crichton the rugby as well. And people are like, oh, the Roosters are doing this and that. Well, now all of a sudden they had a lot of money to play for Jarome Luai. Now Steve Crichton, Angus Crichton is not going. I don't know what that's going to do to that. So they were an outside chance. If you could get odds on TAB, I'd like to slap $10 on it. So that he signs with the Roosters if he left Penrith, that is. The other options, so Canterbury would have to be the favourites because you worked under Serraldo through the juniors. And the only other realistic options you've got, do you think Gold Coast would sign him, Troy? I don't know if they really need a half. Anyone need a half like Jarome Luai, but I'm not sure they need a half. West Tigers would be happy to get him, but they need to be signing more players. They need some more confidence in going there because you're pretty much not going to get any finals there for 3 years at the moment. They've got to do a full rebuild. And St. George Illawarra, if they signed him, if Ben Hunt all of a sudden goes, I can tell you now, it would look good. Like maybe they've got a good chance of probably signing Jarome Luai. They're the only places that can do it. The only one I think that's got a serious finals chance at the moment outside of Penrith is the Roosters. So I just don't see how mathematically they can afford him.
Yeah,
But
well,
I keep hearing that story.
It is all those clubs that you mentioned that are usually always in the conversations about signing players that come on to the market. But look, it all depends on Jarome. Like, as I said the other night, if he wants to keep on winning premierships, then he'll stay at Penrith for a pay cut. Potentially he might go to the Roosters for more money than he's on at Penrith and have the chance of winning premierships again with them. If he wants that challenge, then the Bulldogs, the Tigers, or the Dragons would be an option. I don't think the Gold Coast is an option. We saw earlier on in this year the talk about maybe potentially trying to get Ben Hunt, but he's come out and said that he'll be at the Dragons in 2024. So that won't happen for another year at least. He doesn't know about 2025. So, look, I think maybe will end up at the Bulldogs and just hook up again with Stephen Crichton and Viliami Kikau and Matt Burton and Cameron Ciraldo and Jamin Salmon and all the rest of the other Panthers that are there. It's like almost like the Canterbury Panthers. Yeah. So I think he'll probably end up there. I mean, as a player, you want to win premierships. You want to win premierships. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to play the game for. Some players may disagree with that. They might want to just play for money, which is fair enough because you've only got a limited time in the game to earn it. But he's already won 3 premierships with Penrith. Does he want to stay there? There's no guarantee. Look, they are going pretty well, and they are the most dominant team in the NRL at the moment, but there's no guarantee that they're going to win a 4th, 5th, 6th. So, why not go to another club and try and win a premiership with them?
Yeah, have a new challenge. So that's what I think the appeal would be with Canterbury. I think there's genuine opportunity if you went to Canterbury to do something different and unique, and they're doing a rebuild. I think they could be competitive, so they've definitely got the opportunity to do that. So the other ones that Daily Telegraph talking about, they're talking about Justin Olam going to West Tigers, which would be a very good pickup, and Sean Bloor leaving West Tigers to go to Melbourne Storm. So if those deals happen, I think Sean Bloor is going to go on the rise there too. I think that's a very good move for him. And Justin Olam, I think that would be the start of what West Tigers need to do. They need to get some very good experienced first graders. They're not the top of the top of the top guys, but they got guys, solid, regular first grade blokes. You want to build the team around these guys. They probably need to pick 3 or 4 more guys up like Justin Olam, but next year to start being more competitive, and the year after they need to get a couple more and do the same thing.
Well, he's already got experience in playing at the Tigers because he's played a bit of Queensland Cup with the Brisbane Tigers this year, so he's got that experience there. But I think that'd be a great swap for both of those players, as you said. For Sean Bloor, who's had a bit of injury over the last couple of years, a young player getting down to Melbourne, into that Melbourne system. We've seen in the past what Craig Bellamy, even though he's got 1 more year on his contract to go as coach, just to get into that system. We've seen what he has done with players before, turning them into, relatively good first graders. I won't say average, but good first graders into, good, consistent week in, week out first graders over the years. So that'll be a great move for him. I know Big MG's got a massive rap on Sean Bloor, so I think if he does go there, that his career will obviously go up. And as for Justin, well, if he goes to the Tigers, well, then they're going to get a premiership winning player with a bit of experience and tighten up that centre position, and look, it'll be a new challenge for Justin, and he'd probably almost be maybe one of their star players that are there.
So, I think he's the sort of player they need to target. I think there's a couple of young guys coming through Penrith and even the Eels. If I was them, I'd be looking at some of those fringe guys that are not going to be in first grade next year, or maybe be in first grade but only just crack the level. So they're going to be guys you want to work towards the future a bit at the moment. So they do need some success quickly, but there's other Isaiah Katoas out there. You don't have to look that hard. There's other guys out there with the potential. Jet Cleary is a good example. I think he's just signed with Penrith too. They coming out of Glenmore Park. Ivan Cleary's son and Nathan Junker brother, who played under 19s. He's very good. There's more of them, 100%. And if West Tigers can scratch the surface and find those young guys, they're the kind of guys you need a couple of them because they're going to help you build something long term, which is probably what Benji Marshall is really looking for.
I think
that might be a draw card.
I think the dramas with the Tigers is I think they just need to sort out their off-field dramas that they have, and I think that deters players from going there.
Yeah. So we'll kick on again now. So one big thing I want to talk about, Peter V'landys talking about the 18th team. I'm going to throw one out there. This is where I reckon it's going to end up. Las Vegas. So
I think, you're desperate to get over there, aren't you?
Peter V'landys loves the place. If anyone's listening in the NRL, I do need to get a media accreditation pass for next season, and happy to go to Las Vegas to help promote the game. So I'm all about that. Definitely do what I can. Las Vegas, yeehaw, I can get on there. I can wear a jersey, whatever I need to do. I can even genuinely support them if you need me to, but no, so people have thrown that out there because Peter V'landys has flogged it like a dead horse. Where do we reckon the next side? I think the next side, from my own opinion, probably needs to come from Adelaide. Would be pretty out there, but they were making a profit when they were in the comp. Really needs to be Perth. I think it's got to be Perth, where they're getting a side from, or another New Zealand team. Like if you want to be really the NRL and have,
you've got to go national.
Yeah, got to go national. Got to be looking at a Perth.
So you bring in the West Coast Pirates. I think the Western Reds changed the names to the West Coast Pirates now.
That's not a bad idea, right? Because it's different names. So you want to break anything that had old affiliations. So I also probably don't want cash converters there because there's got to be dodgy stuff in cash converters. They probably don't want to jump back on board. And I don't hate cash converters. That's a 1990 sponsor. So let's get real. So I reckon Twiggy Forrest might get tied in with something like that too, and it would be good for the sport. Where do you reckon the side needs to drop in from, Troy?
Yeah, look, I probably agree with you there. Perth side would be great. Obviously, they've got the time difference working for them there for broadcasting. That'd be great. They do have some local leagues being played over there right now, so they'd definitely be interested. I think Adelaide, well, that they would show a little bit of an interest. I mean, we have taken the State of Origin there a couple of times now, so they do have a little bit of an interest. But yeah, it'd be great to have a national rugby league. There's a lot of push for, I think, the Brisbane Tigers to come in. They've got a lot of backing, and they've got a lot of smart people working for them, and that they're ready to go. But I don't know about another Brisbane team. PNG, they've spoken about PNG as well, being based out of maybe Cairns, but I just don't think that'd be the right sort of fit because you obviously want to, if they're playing out of Cairns, you want a Cairns team. You don't want a PNG side.
Yeah. I don't think they'd be financially viable enough, to be honest with you, because I haven't heard where the money's going to come from for this PNG team. I know they want to get players in it, but who's paying for that?
Would the NRL feel like they own the Titans?
Well, it could be some sort of arrangement. Like, I know that the Titans are standing alone on their own 2 feet now, but they weren't for a long time. So
I think the Australian government as well is going to maybe, if it was PNG, chip in some money as well to build those good relations together as well.
Yeah, well, but they've definitely got the playing talent over there. There've been plenty of guys that come through from PNG. Straight off the top of my head, Adrian Lamb. So he's got Catalan's Dragons in the final of the Super League tonight too, or Challenge Cup final or whatever it is, I'm pretty sure. So if they got a side in, you'd be looking at him for a coach too, wouldn't you? Imagine how pumped up you get them guys. So if they lost the club match, could you imagine what happened if it was over in Port Moresby? They lose the club match and burn the place to the ground, so it'd be terrible.
Well, they had a good win today against the Cook Islands, 46 points to 10. But, I mean, they do have the following of, fans and support over there. It's their national game. Adrian Lamb's coach of the Lee Leopards. He was actually on the assistant to Mal Meninga last night for the Kangaroos. So he did win the Challenge Cup with the Lee Leopards earlier on in the year. And congratulations to Wigan, who won the grand final in the English Super League last night against Catalan Dragons, 10 points to 2. And so, look, they're slowly building the PNG. They've got Justin Holbrook as their coach, their national coach. So a little bit of experience there. So, look, I think they'd be competitive in a competition, but I just can't see it being based out of PNG. I think it'd be too much to do that, and it wouldn't be fair, I guess, to Queenslanders, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So I'd still be leaning. So people want a side based in central Queensland, somewhere near Ipswich. I keep hearing that all the time. And so my preferred choice, I think, is still, you got to look at WA. Logical one's probably the central Queensland bit because they've got money, they've got facilities and players. There's got no shortage of players there. Question is, who's your coach? Who do you get as coach? Has Justin Holbrook come back in the mix again from an assistant? There's a couple of good assistants around, or are you looking at Adrian Lamb? Who would you get to be a coach of a new franchise side?
Oh, look, I mean, there's obviously the obvious ones that always get tossed up when coaching positions come up, but...
Tim Sheens, Craig Bellamy.
Wayne Bennett.
Well, yeah, you never know. Wayne doesn't like to stay at a club too long, unless it's like the Broncos back in the 80s, but lately he doesn't like to stay at a club too long. Look, I mean, you could have Justin Holbrook as a coach. He's been an assistant next year at the Roosters under Trent Robinson, so some good credentials there. So he is a PNG national coach, so that could be a good fit. I mean, I guess if Jeff Tuvey wants to have a crack as well at another NRL job, there's Anthony Griffin as well. There's a few coaches out there that are looking for a job. So, look, I don't know. Who would you choose?
Yeah, well, Michael Maguire being the mix, Adrian Lamb. So probably, I think Anthony Griffin has got really harshly treated the last couple of Penrith. He had a winning percentage when we got rid of him. I don't understand it. St George Illawarra, they were flailing down the bottom of the competition, but I think that's the level the team's at. So they keep on saying, we're a top 8 team. I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
I don't think they're a top 8 team.
There's Dean Young as well. He's but going back to the Dragons, I think, next year as an assistant coach. He's been touted as a future NRL coach.
Could potentially get like John Cartwright come back. Some of the guys have been out of the mix for a little bit, so maybe they're starting to go on the slide a bit too long. Like Michael Potter, he did such a good job with the Bulldogs when he came back last year to help them. He would seriously have to be in the mix. I know he's on the Bulldogs. I'm pretty sure he's on their coaching staff helping out as well. Or did he go back to West Tigers? He did sign for someone this year or for next year as well.
I think he's still at the Bulldogs.
Yeah. So
maybe Bellamy. Bellamy's going to be free from the Storm.
Get Bellamy or someone that needs a new challenge and take it for a couple of years until something else comes along. So there we go. We'll keep on kicking on and talk about that again next Friday night. Anyway, so what have you got coming up on the Parakeet podcast for us this week, Troy?
Well, just before that, a shout out to the Gillaroos as well. They got a victory over the Kiwi Ferns as well last night up in Townsville, 16 points to 10, and that was probably a bit more exciting, I guess, than the men's game. There's some big hits in that game, and well done to the Gillaroos. Tamika Upton just keeps on her form from the NRLW, scoring a couple of tries and was the player of the match. So a brutal game, that one. It certainly was to watch. But
it is very well done too. So they are very good. The women's rugby league's really coming on in leaps and bounds. I like we're not trying to rush to expand it too much at the moment. Did they go to the wedding as well, Reuben Cotter's wedding?
Potentially, they're up in Queensland, so potentially.
Well, you never know. So as long as someone's tipping in for some gifts. So I had someone come to my wedding last time and they said, "Oh, I'll put some money in the box for you." I said, "What'd you do?" Said, "Oh, you'll find out because I put cash in. I'm the only one to put cash straight in." Well, someone dropped a $5 in it. So I went, "Thanks, mate. No, no worries." So,
well, the Kangaroos and the Gillaroos have a week off now, and I think they go back to camp at the end of next week for their next week's game. So there's certainly some time off now for them anyway. But coming up this week, I've got continuing on the interview with Michael Gordon. It will be posted on YouTube next week, so if you want to watch the video version, that one will become available on Apple and Spotify now, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Interviewing Paul Clark, former Balmain, Parramatta and Penrith Panther, during the week, so that should be pretty good. He'll probably have some good Panther stories there, no doubt, being a part of the 1991 Premiership winning team. And a replay of this chat as well.
Yeah, 100%. So that sounds like a good week there at the moment for you. So you can have you chatted to Paul Clark already, or you still got to chat to him?
Not yet. During the week.
Yeah. So he was at Balmain for a fair while before he went to Penrith too. He was kicking around doing a fair bit of stuff. Pretty sure the Penrith he played for us for the 1990 grand final as well as 91. So along with Barry Walker, I think they both played in both grand finals. So it was good. He was a good player, so I liked him. Wasn't a Peter Kelly style. I liked Peter Kelly. He was good when he was at Penrith, but Paul Clark, he's a good bloke. I've got his footy card at home, so...
I'm going to find out why his nickname is Nobby too.
Yeah, I've heard a story, but we can't talk about it on air. So,
okay.
You will need to find out. I'm interested to know because I heard a couple of. I've heard two stories, and neither of them can be told on air.
Maybe that's what he'll say too.
Yeah, maybe he can tell you, and you can just edit it out of the podcast later. So if it's not for listeners' ears, so we'll kick on with that. Anyway, Troy, thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate that. And I will chat to you again 7 o'clock next Friday night if you're available.
Yep.
Chatting about more rugby league and whatever else we can drum up through the week.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, fellas. Enjoy your evening, and thanks again for having me, and catch you on Friday.
Absolutely will do. See you, Troy.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.